architect in one of the organization. And in my experience, in my current role, I'm working as a solution architect to take inputs from various stakeholders, all the clients, customers, and put in everything and create a kind of solution which covers everything, starting from understanding their requirement and then converting their requirement in a proper format, or breaking the requirement into smaller pieces so that respective teams can get involved and can work on it. So being an architect, I have to look for different things. I have to look for, once application is launched, then how customers will be able to use it, what will be customer response, performance of application, outage monitoring, what sort of cost estimations which will be applied while building that application, whether customer will get appropriate amount of benefits once that application is built or not. So everything, starting from the gathering requirement till that point application gets deployed in various in sort of automated method. I have to look after everything. So in my career, in my entire path of being solution architect, I started my journey from the mainframe person, from the mainframe guy, and then gradually I moved into scripting, and then I moved into AWS Cloud first, and then I moved into DevOps. And this course will contain all my experiences, a kind of, I'll say, all the use cases which I've worked on in my experiences. I'll be sharing everything as a part of this course to you all so that you remain aware of all the real-time use cases which is as of now in use in organization, various type of challenges which organization has faced in order to utilize, in order to take benefits of AWS Cloud, in order to start using AWS Cloud, in order to start adapting a DevOps methodology in their organization, what challenges with there, what sort of benefits organization gets once they have adopted this methodology, and once they adopted methodology, how they are implementing it in various sort of use cases, and is reaching out to customers like you and I. I'll be talking about everything in that. So this is all about me. Now let's talk about what this course content will be. This course content will be mostly of AWS DevOps, wherein we'll talk about DevOps methodology and the usage of AWS infrastructure in setting up DevOps, in implementing DevOps methodology in organization. Likewise, we know at this point, globally, approximately 80 to 90% of the organization has already started adapting, or in the phase of adapting DevOps methodology in their organization. Now, why they adapted, we'll talk about that also in few minutes. But they have already done. Many of the companies are at certain heights wherein they already started using a number of DevOps tool. Now it's the time, the that market in our country, India, is capturing DevOps a lot. We widely companies and organizations are using various tools which we think can bring in automation in infrastructure deployment. With this course, we are bringing in a number of different tools which is widely used in Indian markets, which is widely used in Western and European markets, on which our entire IT industry is based out of. And with this course, you will get that understanding which you will be able to apply in organizations once you will be a part of organization being in DevOps role. Now, it's not only DevOps which we are going to talk about in this session. We'll talk about usage of DevOps, implementation of DevOps by utilizing AWS resources. Because DevOps was on-premise setup once upon a time, nearly a decade ago. If you'll think about DevOps journey, nearly a decade ago, it was completely on-premise. When I say on-premise, what does it mean? I'll explain in a few minutes. But just as of now, just take it from me. A decade ago, DevOps was completely on-premise based, but gradually it has to move forward. Gradually, companies thought, okay, fine, let's move on and let's start adapting some cloud computing strategy with which we'll be able to with which companies will be able to sell their products more effectively. And that is where DevOps came in. That is where these cloud platforms came in. And that is what I'm going to talk about in today's session. So, I welcome you all in this program of AWS DevOps engineering training, wherein we'll learn about a number of tools which is widely used in our organization, in wide variety of organization in IT industry across the globe at this point of time. Okay, so now to begin with, today in today's session we'll talk about fundamentals of cloud computing. We'll try to understand what cloud computing is and what are the different vendors we do have in cloud computing. So as a part of today's agenda, we'll talk about what is cloud computing. We'll talk about different cloud providers which is available in market at this point of time, which cloud provider is having a winning edge, and what about others, how others are also contributing in making IT infrastructure a kind of better place, a kind of more flexible place, so that organizations at their own wish could be able to deploy, could be able to enhance, could be able to scale in, scale out their infrastructure based on customer needs. We'll talk about that. Also, we'll talk about different service models in cloud computing, what are the different service models and how those service models differ. So when I say service models, it could be on-premise based infrastructure, it could be infrastructure as a service, it could be software as a service, it could be platform as a service, how these varies, and when these varies, how the responsibility is shared in between cloud vendor and customer. And then we'll talk about why AWS is a clear winner in the market at this point of time. And once we understand that, we'll end up with a small lab, which is how to create AWS account. Say in case if you all are pretty much new to AWS, don't worry because I'll be showing AWS account creation, budgeting, everything which you need to know to start working on AWS account. Now, what I'll do is at very regular intervals, I'll give breaks or I'll give pauses. Maybe after every 10 minutes of lecture, I'll give a kind of small pause and I'll open up for questions, because by that time I'll be able to complete my flow like the way I just explained about the agenda today, what I'm going to cover. Quite the same thing I'll do. I'll complete my flow and then I'll give a small pause after every 10 minutes. But in case if you do have any doubts in between, you can just raise your hand. I'm monitoring anyone raise his hand. I'm monitoring that. Also, in case if you do have any question, you can just ping in chat. I'm monitoring chat also, and I'll respond to that. I'll respond to any of the hand raise which you do have, and I'll respond to any of the chat question which you do have. Okay, and in case I'll just go with the kind of generic pace which I normally follow. In case if you feel as if my pace is high, you can just ask me to slow down. If you feel as if my pace is slow, you can just ask me to increase my pace. I'll do that. So let's begin our today's session with what is cloud computing in the first place. So in order to understand what is cloud computing or what is cloud computing architecture, let's first understand the architecture or how the industries were there before cloud computing, so that it will be very much easy for you, because applications, it's not as if now we do have AWS, now we do have Azure, or now we do have Salesforce, now we do have IBM, then only applications are getting developed. We are using IT softwares for pretty much long. It's been 3 to 4 decades, I'll say, we are using softwares. Let it be mobile software, let it be computer software, let it be any sort of software which you can think about. We are using for very, very long. And AWS or any of the cloud vendor is not that old. AWS brought in its first software somewhere around, I think, they brought in their first software, I believe, by 2000 or maybe 2004, I believe, they came up with their first resource. So now, but the IT industry were running even before. Applications were getting developed even before. So how applications were there before? So previously, IT industry had their own data centers. their data centers, wherein IT industry has to purchase or has to take lots of area, lots of land in lease, and they have to purchase lots of servers, storage devices, networking devices, routers for networking, different sort of gateways they have to configure, and different sort of load balancers which they have to configure, and they have to do everything in their own data centers. But gradually, IT industry realized that if they are spending so much of time in maintaining their infrastructure, they will be able to focus less in building their product. Because nowadays, companies are coming out with wide variety of product. Maintaining infrastructure is not a kind of responsibility which, or not a kind of task which IT industry wants to dedicate their resources into. They wanted their resources more to get involved in developing their product, perhaps developing their applications. Think about the most, I'll say, oldest software which you have worked on. Perhaps Windows is pretty much old. Perhaps Linux is also very much old. So these softwares main purpose was to bring in operating system, to bring in computers which we as of now use. We are now using most sophisticated computers with highly effective operating systems installed in it. But it was not the time nearly 2 to 3 decades back. 2 to 3 decades back, our computers were not that effective, operating systems were not that effective. But still, these vendors have came up with these softwares. Now, when these softwares came, suddenly they had these their own data centers. They had their data centers with wide number of configurations, wide number of hardwares configured in it, which was maintained by their own engineers. They had data engineers, sorry, they had data center engineers. They had their data center engineers day in day out sitting in data centers and looking after those hardware devices, which is a kind of overhead to any organization. Because Microsoft, instead of building their Windows operating system, or instead of building their computers, what they were doing is they were just hiring resources, and they were appointing tasks to maintain their data center, which was a kind of overhead, also expensive. Another use case there could be, another problematic situation could be, say nowadays you're seeing a number of different startups opening. Think about any startup which you would have seen about. We have places like Bangalore, we have places like Pune, Noida, Gurgaon, where in a number of different startups every day a new startup is coming up. Now, these startups, in case if they're coming up, they certainly will have a low budget application which they want to release to customers. And once they get revenue, once customer starts using it, post that based on the revenue which they generate, they still think of building their businesses. Now, in case if they spend lots of money in building their data centers and maintaining their data centers itself, perhaps they won't be able to spend more time, focus, energy, and money on building their applications. This was the problem which companies were facing and will would have faced now in case all the infrastructure would have been maintained in on premises. Now, what companies thought, let's move everything to some third party vendor instead of we maintaining their infrastructure. If someone can take this burden from us and can take care of the infrastructure issues, can take care of hardware issues, and we can just hire employees and get the employees recruited so that they can work on infrastructure development. And that is where this cloud computing fit in. I'll give a quick pause. Any question till here, guys? Any question anyone has?
Yes, sir. Ashwini, this side. Yeah, I have a question. We are from a networking security background, and
Okay.
now we are like shifting our careers to DevOps. So, how it is different from network automation as we compare with AWS
As
DevOps
far
or
as
Cisco DevOps?
Okay, so AWS, like the way you have past experience working in networking, wherein you would have worked about already creating some sort of private cloud or some sort of gateways, maybe internet gateways, maybe NAT gateways, or maybe route table. You already do have this sort of experience, and quite the same thing is there in AWS also. AWS has a suite to which we call as VPC. AWS has certain services to which we call as networking services, which is exactly same the one which you have learned in your networking experiences, Ashwini. Now, what you have learned perhaps in your networking experience, companies would have bought those all networking devices, those are routers, switches, wherein you are creating those VPNs and other stuffs. And you do have GUI for which again your company is paying to some third party vendors. What AWS says is everything is there, everything what you are using with your own devices with some third party vendor you use on my own console. So what you have learned, Ashwini, in your experiences is there in AWS also. Whatever automation you have done there, as a being a networking engineer, you'll be performing quite the same thing on AWS also. But instead of using any third parties, vendors application, you'll be using AWS application instead, which I'll be covering as a part of this curriculum.
So is it like a platform like we have Jira for the automation?
Yes. Not
Or
Jira.
only just a,
Yeah, please go ahead.
I mean to say, is it's like a platform where we do the automation?
Uh, like you use Jira, very nicely used term which you said. You use Jira as an automation tool, wherein at the Jira at the back end you write certain script and an automated pipeline runs and it performs certain task. So in AWS, what you will do is you will use certain services of AWS like its virtual machines where you will write those scripts. You will use Lambda functions in AWS wherein those scripts will triggering those Lambda functions. So exactly not like what you have done with your Jira. You can
Mhm.
integrate Jira because Jira is a kind of third party software which is Atlassian product. You can integrate that Atlassian product if you have proper amount of licenses to integrate with AWS, but not exactly, not the same thing which you have done with Jira automation. It's bit different because in our scenario, you will be learning Jenkins, you will be learning GitHub Actions, and like the way you have written scripts there to automate by using Jira software, you will be automating pipeline by using Jenkins software, by using GitHub Actions software, and we'll be integrating GitHub Actions and Jenkins with AWS so that as any pipeline runs, related services is triggered there in AWS Cloud.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thanks for asking. Anyone else? Any other question?
Yeah, hi sir, Rohan this side.
Yes, please.
The same questions I have means where we can see my career in cloud because I am from the same background.
Okay. Okay.
So now I am switching because now this cloud is not stuck for the AWS. The, the means we have to means as per the syllabus need to do the DevOps. Multiple tools are there,
Right.
Terraforms, Ansibles.
Right.
So with lots of scripting are there. Mm,
Right.
means so we are totally new for us because we aware about the firewalls and switches, Cisco switches, Cisco
Okay.
routers. So there is
Okay.
no specific scripting. With, uh, there is no means we can understand, sir. My point. What I have to say.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand it. So now I'll just give you one very simple example. For example, if you're using certain
One more
platform.
point I need to add here. Sorry for interruption, sir. Means how we can start. Means can we get the same package or can we expect some hike on current CTC, and how we can include means how we can bifurcate or uh, how we can add new things in our resume because I have the 8 year experience total in routing only.
Okay.
So we are a fresher, means we can consider as a fresher in cloud.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Alright, so I'll first pick your first question. When
Okay,
you
sir.
said that you're a fresher in cloud, you're a fresher in scripting, but you do have past experience working in networking. So while you were working in networking, certainly you would have executed certain command. You have one command line interface, wherein command line interface, perhaps you would have used PuTTY as the software to connect to the command line software or some other remote software, which some software which you would have used to establish remote connectivity with switches and others. Now, what you have done being that there also you would have executed executed certain commands. Now, what scripting says is instead of you executing 3 to 4 commands manually one after the other, if you put in all those commands serially in a kind of logical fashion so that it gets executed one after the other, it forms script. So a script is nothing different than the one which you have done in past. Now, what scripting I'm talking about? Now, scripting is of different types. It's of shell scripting, it's of Python scripting, it's of Terraform scripting, it's of Ansible scripting. Different types of scripting is there, but the logic behind each scripting is pretty much same. Each scripting has a command line. It's nothing different. Each scripting has a command line. Now, instead of I executing individual command manually, I put those commands, I sequence those commands in a logical manner so that it gets executed one after the other. So rest assured, what I will teach you is you already know the commands, and that is the advantage for me here, what I'm saying. You already know commands, you already know command line interface, because I have worked with a number of different people who doesn't have even experience working with CLI, and their things get tough. But you already have experience in CLI, so I don't need to teach you how to create the CLI, perhaps how to connect to any IP address. You already know that. What I have to show you is how to create the file wherein all the commands which you have executed in past could be sequenced in a logical manner and to be executed, which will be a part of your job role going forward, right? So this is for first part of your question. Second part, where do you see yourself? In that, I'll tell you about my story. Like the way I said, I started my career as a mainframe guy, a mainframe administrator, which is absolutely different from scripting, absolutely different from cloud, absolutely different from AWS. My job mainly was I had a kind of console and I had to keep monitoring all those alerts which we normally get in case if any application fails, in case if any application crashes, then we used to get certain alerts there, and alerts are of different color combinations, and we used to monitor it. But what I have done is gradually I have learned, parallelly I have learned different technologies, parallelly I have learned different platforms, the one which you are doing at this point of time. And I enabled myself so good that I can present myself to interviewer in a way to hide my previous experiences. And I'm being very frank here. You can hide all your previous experiences of 8 years and convert entire 8 years of experience and become a AWS DevOps engineer and say that, hey, I do have not all the eight, because 8 year experience to have, if your 8 year experience expectation from interviewer is too high, perhaps we can say that you do have 4 years of working experience in AWS DevOps and 4 years of working experience in networking. Now I can be sure that whatever package which you're getting, which I don't know, but certainly if you'll say that if you do have 4 years of working experience in networking and rest 4 years of working experience in AWS DevOps, wherein you know pretty much well a number of different services which is widely used at this point in market, a number of different tools which is widely used in DevOps at this point of time, certainly your package will go high. So certainly you won't stick at the same package in case if you switch with an experience of AWS and DevOps along with your networking experiences. Hope I answered your question.
So the expectations is also high, sir. If I put 4 year of experience in cloud, so can we recover our can we covered all syllabus up to that mark?
Yeah,
Means
yeah,
in a
yeah.
3 months or
It's a
4 months of syllabus.
yeah, it's a
Means
52 hours session. So certainly
okay.
you'll have plenty of time to cover everything. You have to spend time for sure. It's a kind of daily session. That is one of the advantage or disadvantage you can say, because I'm not sure if you are working, you have to spend certain time, and it goes to everyone who is a part of this session at this point of time. In case if you're working, you have to certainly spend some time. Whatever lab I'm going to cover, you have to just practice all those labs and try and come up with your questions in next day sessions. All your questions will be welcomed, but certainly you have to spend time and try to practice all the labs which I'm going to cover. But rest assured, whatever lab, whatever topics I'm going to cover, if you are able to practice those topics and if you understand those topics properly, certainly you will be able to grab a good package, whatever experience, whatever salary structure you do have at this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so adding one more point here, like from Cisco background, we know Cisco commands only, right? Cisco, or you can say firewalls, load balancer, like that. We know that. How we can, migrate these command with AWS, because it's totally different platform. If we comparing
Absolutely.
it, it is,
Absolutely.
it's totally different.
Absolutely.
So
And trust.
if I'm talking one point, like I want to do the automation in my company, then it is totally network automation part, right?
Okay.
Because what I'm going to automate is totally based on our networking components like routers, switches, firewalls. These things we want to automate,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right?
And
But this
trust
cloud
me.
computing is little bit in different action. If
Yeah.
it is the whole process like cloud computing, Cisco DevOps, like that, or AWS DevOps, then how we can migrate these things with our networking devices?
Yeah. Right. So,
To
Ashwini,
be honest, we are a bit scared, sir. To be
yeah,
honest.
understand, understand. And that's pretty much obvious, Rohan and Ashwini. That's pretty much obvious to not to be scared. I won't say be scared, but I'll say be more enthusiastic here at this point, because true, you are at a part of your career where switching things seems kind of big task. You already do have 8 years of working experience. Now what you're thinking is, say in case if you don't learn, if you are learning anything new, perhaps you, and if you're switching, whether you will be able to fit in the company going forward or not, whether the company whoever recruiting you in DevOps realizes that you don't have proper knowledge and experience. Being scared in these cases is very true. But let me tell you something. Going forward, scripting will be the only thing which will remain. Automation, which will be the only thing which remains in the organization. Now, I'm talking about the automation which drives entire application. Now, you do have knowledge only in networking. Agreed, yeah. That having knowledge of networking is a good thing. But down the line, after 4 to 5 or 7 to 8 years, having knowledge only of networking will put you in a kind of legacy category. You have only a kind of, your knowledge is very much restricted to networking domain only. Now after 8 years, if you're realizing same thing, that hey, I could have enhanced my career, I do have enhanced my skill set, and I'd have gone beyond the knowledge or skill set of networking and could have learned something which is pretty much niche, which is pretty much demanded, why not to start now? Now, with this course, what you will get is, you will get the knowledge of AWS, you will get the knowledge of cloud computing, you will get the knowledge of scripting. Now, you do have knowledge already on commands in Cisco, which I'm hardly bothered of. I was mainly thinking in case if you do have knowledge working in that black screen or not, because people are more into Windows. They have the experience working in those fancy screen of Windows. People feel more anxiety when they feel as if they have to work on black screen, because trust me, many of the people still don't know how to work on PowerShell because it's black screen and we hardly open it. We do have a number of different user interfaces in Windows and we just do well with that. You have experience already working on those CLI, and that's a plus point for you as well as me, because I don't have to start from very scratch. What I will show you here is how you will perform those automation or scripting by putting in a number of different commands, which is certainly different from your Cisco commands. Here you will learn Linux commands, and I'm pretty much sure a number of different Linux commands also you have practiced while working on those command line, because at the back end of your command line lies some operating system, and those are mostly Linux operating system only. So you have understanding of Linux operating system. I'll just demonstrate you while doing lab. I'll show you how to put in those Linux commands and create the script out of which will be a kind of tough. I agree. I'm not saying it will be easy to begin with, but gradually it will be easy. And sometime or the latter, at some point of career, you have to learn it. You cannot just stay being a network engineer and can just have the knowledge of network engineer. You have to come out of your comfort zone. That is what I basically want to say at this point. I know things could be scary,
Oh,
but gradually you will gain knowledge.
and once we learn these things, how we are doing the labs, like on testing purpose, what we are going to automate with this, AWS Cloud DevOps program?
To begin with, you
Uh,
won't automate anything. To begin with, I'll show you how to use a number of different services in AWS. First, you have to learn AWS. In AWS, a number of different demanding services are there, like the load balancers, security, like a number of different virtual machines which you can create. First, you will learn that. Now, slowly I'll take you into scripting. Slowly I'll take you into kind of scripting world in Linux,
mhm.
in Terraform, in Ansible. I won't directly take you into shell scripting, or I won't directly take you into Terraform scripting because that will be overwhelming in case if I take you there. First, I'll show you how the console looks like because you are more fond of that part. I'll show you that. And when you are more comfortable using AWS, then I'll take you to the place where you will start writing scripting. And instead of creating resources going into the AWS console, instead you will write some script, and that script will take care of entirely resource creation, which is also called as automation.
Okay, so it's quite possible, like while we are managing a big platform or number of nodes, so we want to do the same changes in 100 plus nodes, and it can be done by the scripting that we are learning or that we are going to learn here.
That is the main purpose of scripting. Scripting
Okay.
is to enable IT industry or any of the administrator to manage hundreds, thousands of nodes at once instead of managing one, two, three, four, or five nodes. And it can be anything. It can be patch updates, it can be version upgrades, it can be anything which you can think about. We do have plenty of softwares. Ansible is there, Kubernetes is there, containers are there. Now, going forward, you don't need to even work on virtual machines. Rather, you have to work on containers. And for that, also, a number of different softwares are there, which we'll talk about.
I think yeah, it would be great to learn.
Good questions. Anyone else? And being scared is okay, right? So you can ask questions. That's fine. If you're scared, ask me
Sir,
questions.
what is the duration and timing? Could you please?
Yeah, so it's in total of 52 hours. This session will be, and I think it will go more than 52 hours even. But minimum 52 hours of duration is allocated for this project, for this session to complete.
Daily batch or
Sorry, what is that?
it is daily or weekends?
It's daily. It's Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday, what time? Same
It's
time?
it's same time. Yes, starts by 9.
How many hours? It will be like 1 hour or 2 hour?
It will be 1 hour every day,
1 hour. Ah, okay. Like
and you will
the
get
keys
enough
and
time.
details.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, yes. But I have same experience in the firewalls and a little bit scripting in PowerShell. That's what I have got. So I am also this first time I heard about develop. What is that? Develop apps. Something
DevOps,
related with something develop related with only Amazon, right?
not only Amazon. It's DevOps is a kind of separate term. Amazon is AWS is a separate term. They both work together. They both collaborate,
Ah,
and that is where they
okay.
form AWS DevOps.
Would we use the same with Microsoft 365 or anything?
Yeah, we use not with Microsoft 365. We use with Microsoft. Microsoft has its own product, to which we call as Azure. With we use it with IBM also. IBM has its own product. So almost all the companies at this point of time is having their some or the other cloud product which they have released, which is there in the market as of now, and multiple companies are using it. Like think about AI. We did not even know about AI 3 to 4 years back, but now almost every company you won't find it's spreading so fast that almost 90% of the company globally is using AI at this point of time. So yeah, it's there.
Mm.
People are using.
Okay, got it.
And so last question, like when we comparing this program with the others companies, like they are offering the DevOps program with duration of 6 to 9 months at least. So what would be the duration of this program?
Okay, so this is like the way I said, it's a 52 hours program, 6 to 9 months, yes, providing, and I'm a part of those programs also, working with those companies also, which I don't want to take names. But what
Mhm.
happens is with the time, think about this. If I teach you a topic today, and if you're not implementing that topic, will you actually remember after 6 months? I won't remember personally.
No.
So, what the main focus of this course is to give you everything in such a way so that you do have ample amount of knowledge to start appearing for interview, so that once you get the job, you start practicing everything in real time, with real time scenarios, with real time use cases, with a real time setup of infrastructure of companies, so that you learn while you are working rather than only learning and forgetting after a couple of months. You learn while you're working. And while teaching in those programs, I'll tell you, after 6 months, when I interact with students, they say that, sir, whatever you taught 6 months back, it's there. I do have notes, but I again have to go through recordings to understand those topics. Because whatever I'm going to teach you in day one, this will be in use till the last day of the program. I'll be touching almost each of the service of AWS till the last day of the program. But again, in case if you are disconnected, like in 6 to 9 months of program, certainly will start forgetting things. So I won't say that is an advantage. Advantage there, what we provide to students is for certain topics, we go in huge depth. For example, in our session, I'll be giving 6 hours to you and I'll cover Docker. Spend 6 hours and I'll cover Kubernetes. There, we spend more than 2 weeks to cover that Docker. We spend more than 2 weeks to cover Kubernetes. Yes, we talk about more use cases there. We talk about more scenarios there, no doubt. But why to learn those many use cases? Why to learn those scenarios when you are able to get ample amount of knowledge, which is sufficient enough to go and appear in a interview, right? So what I personally think is spending 9 months to learn same thing, going much in depth without having real time experiences won't help. Get the knowledge,
Okay.
get job, and then groom yourself while working, right? This is my
Right.
The
personal opinion.
this session will be shared with us or not? The today's session,
Yes,
because I
yes.
lately.
I It will be shared because session is getting recorded. So
Uh,
each of this session will be
We
shared
will
with
get access,
everyone.
or we will get access of the every sections, right? After the session is finished, right?
Yes.
Okay. When it is going to start the class?
Um, we are already on, but certainly as your questions stops, I'll start. But questions are most welcome. Don't stop it because I have to continue with the classes. That's okay. We will go beyond 52 hours also. Your question prevails, that is for sure. So we are already on. Anyone else? Any other question? Okay. But just to begin with, what I'll say is you have to practice. You have to give some time. You have to spend some time to practice what all topics I'm going to cover, what all, what all lab I'm just explaining you. You have to practice all those topics, all those components. Okay, so now let's begin. So I already spoke about the disadvantage of on-premise. In in on-premise, we had a number of different servers, we had routers, which companies has to maintain, which companies has to manage on their own. They were hiring data center engineers, and with the data center engineers, they were they were allocating resources, they were allocating certain resources to maintain just the data center, which is not the prime product of a company. Company wanted to focus more on their product rather than spending time in managing infrastructure. So what they said is they thought, okay, fine, let's outsource infrastructure management to some third party vendors. And this is where AWS came in. AWS, when AWS came, I believe somewhere in 2008, 2009, when AWS came, AWS just came with three services. It was RDS, S3, and it was EC2. Just three services AWS came up with. Now, when AWS came, they said that I'll take care of your database. with the use of RDS, which is relational databases, with the use of EC2, I'll take care of your virtual machine requirement. So AWS said that I'm going to take, you'll have to be in mute if you're not talking. Let me just mute everyone. Okay. So now what happens is companies started looking for this kind of outsourcing. Companies started looking for this kind of vendors who is capable of managing their resources. And let it let me just talk a bit about networking perspective. Now, still, a number of different organizations are maintaining their own storage boxes like Dell, EMC Square. They are still offering these networking boxes. There are still companies who are offering network attached storage like NAS or storage attached network, which is SAN, um, over a number of different networking devices. Cisco switches are there, a number of different switches are there, like Seagate switches are also there. A number of different switches are there where still people are creating those VLANs to have those file shares shared across a number of different servers. Still, companies are maintaining it. But in order to use that, what they're doing is they have to just have their data center. In case for some reason, if those networking devices breaks, then I'm pretty much sure many of you are networking engineers. You have spent a number of hours being with data center engineers talking about changes or replacement of any of the failed networking devices, right? So now why companies should spend this much amount of time maintaining their infrastructure and resources, capable resources like you all, rather they can just outsource this and say to some third party vendor that, hey, it's your problem to maintain everything. I'll pay you, but it's your problem to maintain everything. It's your problem to take care of any of the hardware failure, software failure, any of the upgrade which you want to do, version upgrades which you want to do. It's your problem. What I'll do is I'll just pay you and utilize your services. And that is where these cloud computing fits in. Cloud computing vendors offers a number of different things. They offer they offer starting from virtual machines, they offer storage, they offer databases, they offer networking, they offer firewall. You do have experience working in firewall also. They offer firewall, they offer load balances. You name the service which you have worked in, all the services is now present there in these cloud computing vendors, and they're offering, and that even their offering is pay as you go model. I'm pretty much sure that in your experience being a networking engineer, you have seen that many of the devices are still having unused ports maybe, or still having unused VLANs maybe, which at certain point of time you think, okay, fine, let's clean it up because it's not in use for very long. Now with cloud computing, what happens is company pays only for the services which they use. Now company do not have to pay for those VLANs or perhaps for those not networking components which they are not using. But in your cases, at this point of time, since you are using all the on-premise setup, companies has to pay for those ports, those switches also, which are perhaps not in use because they already have bought it. They cannot just sell because they think that, okay, fine, today I'm not using, tomorrow again my customer base will go high. I'll need to have more customers spread across different geographical locations and I'll purchase it again. No, they won't do that. They'll keep it intact because of the hope that customer will go high tomorrow. But with cloud computing, what happens is if they need more switches, if they need more ports, if they need more services, they will just purchase it on demand. They will buy it on demand. They will pay it on demand basis. This is the advantage of cloud computing. Now,
Sir,
this
I
is
would
what,
like to ask about the things if you,
yeah, please
uh,
go ahead, please.
yeah, what's the difference between the cloud of Z scalers and the different clouds are AWS, Azure, or Google or something?
Okay. So Zscaler is more confined towards security. Zscaler says that now still we are using Zscaler. Perhaps my computer is also connected with Zscaler at this point of time. What happens with Zscaler is any of the traffic which is trying to access application offered by my organization passes through Zscaler in order to perhaps filter a number of different IPs, filter any of the proxies, filter a number of different security impacts, filter a number of different security risks which company can cause. Now, what's Zscaler? Zscaler is also a vendor. Like AWS is a cloud vendor, Zscaler is also a vendor. But being a vendor, what it offers is it offers the services which is more proficient, which is more widely in use on security perspective. AWS also offers firewall. But other than offering firewall, AWS offers wide number of services. So to compare both, Zscaler, AWS, these are two different vendors offering their services to customers. AWS is having more grip to the market because of more number of services it's offering. For example, Amazon and maybe Flipkart. Amazon is a bigger vendor because there are a number of different products they're available there on Amazon. There are more customers which is accessing Amazon website. Why? Because their product offering is high, their services are more better, they have more options to choose from, they're more flexible. Where in Flipkart we have comparatively lesser. Quite similar to that. Did I answer your question?
So, sir, we can say in DevOps, this is the first module as a cloud computing, or you can say cloud computing architect. This is the
Architecture.
first module for the Cisco DevOps.
Yes.
After that, we start the automation, other phases,
Scripting,
scripting,
automation,
automations, Kubernetes, like these things.
number of different tools. Yes.
All right.
Be mute,
Okay, got it.
guys. If you're
Thank you.
not talking, just be mute. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Any other question? Okay, cool. So now let's move on to our next topic. Now, let's talk about top cloud computing providers. Amazon is not the only provider which is offering cloud services. Other than Amazon, we do have number of other vendors which is offering cloud services. Other than Amazon, we do have Microsoft, which is offering cloud service with the name of its product, to which we call as Azure. Google also offers cloud with the name of Google Cloud Platform, GCP. Oracle also offers, these are the big names which I'm talking about. And there are a number of small contributors also, but these are the big names. Oracle offers its cloud. Now, IBM offers its cloud, Alibaba offers its cloud, Salesforce offers its cloud. A number of different vendors are there which is offering cloud, which is having a number of different services which it came up with. Companies are using a chunk of almost everything. Nowadays, I'll tell you from my experience, I have seen companies have Amazon also, Azure also. GCP is pretty much less because I think the resources or the I'll say customer base or the user friendliness of resources which Google Cloud Platform has came up with is not that high like the way Azure or AWS came up with. So yes, AWS and Azure are more known, and AWS is the biggest contributor to provide cloud computing to a number of different organizations at this point of time. And that is why we are going to learn AWS properly in our session so that you understand a number of different services which we use in AWS. Talking about a number of different service models in cloud computing. Now we can define the service models. We can just categorize the cloud computing offerings into on-premise setup. I won't say that on-premise setup is something which is offered by cloud, but you need to understand that thing also. Why? I'll tell you that. With the cloud computing, you will get services which is categorized into infrastructure as service, platform as service, software as service. Now, what is on premise? Everything, whatever you are doing at this point of time, everything which for which company has its own data centers, has its own servers, has its own switches, is on premise. On premise, like the name says, it's within the premises of company. It's on the company's premises. That is what on premise means. Now, in case of on premise, what company has to do? Company has to take care of everything on their own. You are the networking engineers. They have to hire networking engineers to take care of networking aspect. They have to hire storage guys who has to take care of storage area network, network attached storage, purchase Dell EMC boxes, purchase NAS filers, to maintain storage. They have to take care of servers. They have to hire Linux administrator. They have to hire Windows administrator and has to take care of servers. They have to deal with virtualization. They have to again hire VMware guys who deals with virtualization and takes care of virtualizing the servers, virtualizing the hardware which has been created. They have to again hire Windows, Linux administrator to take care of operating system. They have to hire middleware guys to take care of all the middleware activities, like IBM's offering is ACE, which is middleware offering. A number of different middleware product is offered by IBM. A number of different runtime, number of different data component, number of different application development. They have to hire separate set of teams, separate set of engineers in case if they are maintaining on premise, if they are maintaining their own infrastructure, which is a tough task. Not tough task, I'll say it's more like overhead, much more expense for the company in case if they are maintaining this model of establishing everything on premise. That is where cloud computing comes in. Cloud computing says that I'm going to provide you services in three different types. You need infrastructure as service, you need platform as service, you need software as service. I'll start with a simple example. We all use Gmail. Now, what we do with Gmail, we just log into in a platform, in a interface, by putting in our Gmail username and credentials. What we see, we have our inbox, and in inbox, in case if I have to write some email, I just click on the option and I write that email. I don't care where this application is hosted on, how this Gmail will send email to another partners, another third party partners. Gmail sends Gmail to another Gmail inbox, sends email to Yahoo Mail, Rediff Mail, another Outlook, Hotmail, different types of email platforms are there, email providers are there. Gmail sends that mail to everyone. How it happens, how it takes care of the mailing server. We don't even care about it. We just use Gmail as a software which is available over internet. This type of offering is called software as a service, in which everything is taken care by the vendor itself. They take care of networking, storage, ranging up to applications. They take care of everything. We just use software as a service. We just use the software which is offered to us over internet as a service. This is called software as a service. Another is platform as a service. Now, this mainly happens if you are a developer. Now, what happens? For example, if I am an AI developer, what an AI developer will do, AI developer will take some of the models, LLM model, GPT model, Gemini model, different models, Meta model, which is offered by different types of vendor. Facebook offers its own model. Different companies are offering certain models. While offering their model, what they say, I will provide you a runtime, but you have to build your own application on top of it. And that is where OpenAI said, By using GPT, I will make GPT-4, GPT-5, GPT Pro, a number of different AI models which we are using. I'm taking AI as an example because that is very commonly in use at this point of time. Almost everyone is using AI GPT model, that even OpenAI's product. Now, while we are using it, we just use this, but some developer has developed it. So now this is also an example of software as a service. We use GPT as software as a service, but some developer would have developed it. Now while developing, they would have taken the model, and that model could be out of the cloud computing platform, cloud computing vendors. Now AWS offers this kind of model in pay-as-you-go model. Company purchases that model, hires developer, and that developer manages, writes some code, and expose it for customer use. This type of software, wherein we use model which is offered by some cloud computing platform, and create our own application on top of it, is called platform as a service, wherein we just write code. Developer just write code and develop things. We are not going to do that. That is the core development activity which developers perform. That is the task of developers. What we will do is we will be a part of infrastructure as a service. Our entire time in this course will be to learn infrastructure as a service. While learning infrastructure service, there is a shared responsibility, like the way you can say what cloud vendor says, that I'll be taking care of networking, storage, servers, and virtualization. What you have to take, being a cloud guy, being a DevOps guy, you have to manage operating system, middleware, runtime, data, and applications. You have to maintain these all things. And perhaps you don't have to maintain applications and data. For that, developers are there. For that, we will take some sample code which is available, and I'll share with you some real-time sample code application use cases, so that we will use that and create some application, some real-time scenario for ourselves. But what we will be doing is we will be mainly learning how to use infrastructure as services, how to manage our part of responsibility, which we are responsible on, for which we have to be answerable to AWS platform in this case. So based on the cloud computing, based on the service model, we do have the offerings, which is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. I'll give a quick pause. Any question till here? Ask me, please. Okay, might not be at this point of time.
See, one more thing, that
Okay,
cloud are we are accessing the cloud through the via internet, right?
via internet, yes.
So,
Over internet.
so if we gonna be see one cloud, if we purchase the one of the cloud and we have a different branches, and we wants to make the just like a different branches are connected each other, so can we make the just like a side to side with the through the this cloud?
If you're talking about side-to-side VPN, yes, we can
No,
establish site to
I mean to say that the cloud, actually the cloud are, the we are connecting to the cloud the via internet, right?
right.
So if we have a different branches and we already purchased the clouds, and this cloud we can access with the each sites. I mean that all sites are going to connect with the same cloud. So
Okay,
that through the cloud, it's going to be sites are going to be connect each other.
yeah, yeah, we can connect cloud. That is where multi-cloud platform comes. Not that easy, the way you have said. It's not as in you are going to connect a site which you have created in AWS Cloud to a site which is created there in Azure. Not that easy. There are architectures for that purpose also. But yes, to answer your question,
But
yes, we can.
can connect it.
Yes.
And if we purchase, for example, the one of the device hard drive space, for example, on the cloud, and if we wants to this space gonna be a map to the each sites, and each sites can be accessed to the one of the hardware space, so can be possible.
Another cloud vendor. Yes, it's
Yeah.
possible. There are architectures for this.
Okay. And as a Z scaler, and each other the vendors, they are providing the security as well as the same of the Z scaler, right?
Mm,
Or do they have a
so
different
what you're
something?
saying is each of the cloud vendor are using Zscaler as their
No, no,
platform
no, no,
to
no, no.
maintain.
I mean, the similar things are the Z scaler they are using. I mean, the security purpose.
Yeah, they are using Zscaler, and Zscaler is a kind of third party vendor. But yes, in case if you're hosting any application or any of the cloud, you can route your traffic to get filtered through Zscaler. Can be done. They are integrating. But for
Okay.
that, they have to open VPN connections. I mean, it's a kind of complicated architecture, but yes, opening a VPN connection, open a kind of I'll say the tunneling, the VPN
Okay.
tunneling that is achievable, and companies are achieving it.
I mean, one the little bit more clear need answer, that the other cloud are using a Zscaler, or Zscaler is just like a same cloud of
No, Zscaler is a third party vendor. Companies
third party.
third party. They are not
Okay.
AWS product. It's not
Okay.
AWS Azure or all. And there is
Okay.
no collaboration in between Zscaler and AWS. Zscaler say that
Okay.
I'll sell my product separately. AWS says that I'll sell my products separately. Now
Okay.
companies what they are doing is for their own security, they are just passing the traffic. Whatever traffic is falling on any application which is hosted by AWS Cloud, they are ensuring that those application traffic is passing through Zscaler. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. I have
Okay.
created a database there
Okay.
on AWS. You are a customer. Now, you are a client to AWS. What you will say is that I do have customers who are trying to access database which is hosted in AWS, but for those customer, I want the traffic to pass through Zscaler. So what you will do, since you are client, you have purchased subscription from AWS, you will also go to Zscaler and say that, hey Zscaler, I want to purchase your subscription also. Now Zscaler and AWS guy will talk with each other. Will create some sort of architecture, will create some sort of connection so that your need gets satisfied. It doesn't mean that AWS is having some sort of collaboration with Zscaler. They're separate, but just to satisfy your need, they both work together and they have just created some sort of architecture so that whatever your customer tries to access in database goes through Zscaler. Did you get it?
Yes, I get it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Okay. So now quickly talk about why AWS. See, why AWS is a kind of market winner. Why? Because AWS is spread across a number of different regions. A num they are like widely distributed. If you click on this link, let me just quickly click on this link, or I think this link is open with me. So now to show you, this is one of the website, AWS website. You see, this is fantastic actually. This even moves. This is like a globe. You can just pull it from your mouse. So now what happens is in this website, you will be able to see how many regions this AWS data centers are spread. AWS data centers are spread in 38 geographical regions. That basically makes huge number of countries. Its data centers are present. In each of the data center, for example, in India, we do have data center in Mumbai and in Hyderabad. There are two regions in India we do have data centers. Now, each of the data centers, so India is a geographical location. Like India, there are 38 others geographical location across the globe where AWS has its footprint. Now, in each of the data center, they have some in each of the geographical location, they have one or more than one data center. Like in India, one geographical location is having two data center, one in Hyderabad, another is in Mumbai. Similarly, in 38 geographical regions, they have 120 availability zone. Each availability zone is like a data center. So now how it's categorized? Region. Under region, we have data center. Each region is having one or more than one data center. Why more than one data center? To maintain high availability. For some reason, Mumbai is a coastal belt. Now, for some reason, if Mumbai is flooded, all the data center in Mumbai is gone. Then the customer who are trying to access their application hosted on AWS, they will use their application from Hyderabad data centers. That is where we do have multiple data center comes in scope. Multiple data centers, more availability, high availability. And that is where AWS gets a winning edge, right? So more data centers, AWS is having more geographical locations, AWS is having, because of which AWS is capturing huge chunk of market at this point of time. That is why AWS. So why AWS? Because AWS has huge resources, huge region footprints, and huge number of availability zone, because of which they are able to get high availability. They are able to achieve high availability. Okay, I'll give a pause because after this, I'm just going to show you a quick lab so that you will be able to create AWS account of your own. Any question till here? Okay, cool. Then I will go to the lab part. So today I'll show you how to create account in AWS. All those who dropped certainly will see the recording and will try to create the account. So I'll just show you how to create an account of your own in AWS. So create an account. When you are creating the account, in order to create the account, what you do is I already do have an account. So you just go to google.com, and in google.com you just type search for AWS account create, and the first option which opens has a link to create an AWS account. Now click on create an AWS account. Okay. As I click on create an AWS account, now what it says, create account. Now I click on create account. So as I click on create account, it will give me another page which I'm going to use to sign up. And sign up is very similar, like the way you will sign up to any of the your social website, maybe your mailing website like Gmail or like Facebook. Like the way you sign in here, you have to provide your email address, your account. You have to just follow the instruction. At some point of time, what it will do is it will ask for your account or your ID verification. Just fill in all the details. Its account creation is very simple. You just follow each of the steps which it's asking you to, and just keep filling it. For example, if I have to create, I already do have account created, but say for example, I'm doing it and I'll say DevOps instructor is my account name, and it will say verify email address, and with verify email address it will send a OTP on my it will send a security verification code on my email address. I have to just use that to verify my email account, and once I do that, it will just move to the next page. Next page will ask for your location, username, your whether you are creating for yourself or for company and others. It will ask you that, and after you do that, it will ask for your ID authentication. In order to do that, it will ask for your credit or debit card details. You'll have to provide that. It will deduct approximately, I think, 2 rupees, I believe. I think it will deduct 2 rupees or some amount it will deduct, but it will be very less than 100 only. It will deduct, which is a refunded amount that will be refunded to you within the duration of 4 days, 4 business days. They will refund it back to you, whatever they are deducting. Now, with that, what they will do, they will just they will just understand that you are a legitimate person. the ID or the your KYC, whatever you have provided is a legitimate one. In order to do that, they will just take some of your money, which will be refunded back in 4 business days. Once you are done with that, you will be able to log in to AWS account. And as you will be able to log in to your AWS account, the first screen which you will see is the screen where you will have your AWS, to which we call as AWS console, which will also be called as console home. So as you log in, you will be able to see this. So say for example, if I'll remove all the widgets, so you will be able to basically see something like this: everything blank, everything 000, cost uses 0, everything 0, everything 000. Once you are able to see this, it means that you are able to log in into your AWS account and is able to access console home. Now what you have to do before our tomorrow session, you try to create the account. Like the way I said, account creation will deduct some amount. So don't worry in case if it's asking your credit or debit card details, it will deduct some amount, but will refund it in 3 to 4 days. Okay, sounds good to everyone. Give me a quick yes, either in chat or thumbs up, anything. If you are okay with this, if you understood what we are going to do before tomorrow's session.
Yes, this is going to understand. And one more question I have related to cloud and the on-premise environment. For example, if we need to just migrate on-premise data center to the cloud, and which cloud is the good going to be in the migration hybrid situation, if we wants to be run in the hybrid cloud and the on premium, and if this is a mandatory that the, for example, AWS data center must be available in the same country, or not.
This is a very good question. So no, it's not mandatory. In case if you want to migrate your data center, say for example, your company is based out of Mumbai, India, and if your customer base is in United States, your company is offering some product, and you are seeing that more of the customer who is trying to purchase your product is from United States, then certainly you are not going to United States again to build your data center. What you will do is you will perhaps create similar sort, migrate your infrastructure to cloud, and will start hosting your application to customers which is based out of United States. So to answer your question, no, you don't need to have your resources created in the same region where your country is based out of. You can create resources in the region where you do have more customers, right? And also talking about the migration process for hybrid atmosphere, which cloud will be better? It's a very tricky question. Which cloud will be better? Each of the cloud is offering product which suits well for the customer. But if I have to compare all the services which is offered by AWS and all the services which is offered by Azure and all the services which is offered by GCP, I'll compare only these three because these three are the biggest contributors in market at this point of time. Certainly AWS has an edge because of its wide variety of services which it's offering. Anything which company needs is available there on AWS. So why to go to some other places? For example, if you are getting everything there in maybe Reliance Smart, or maybe in D Mart, or maybe in some other mart, maybe in Vishal Mega Mart, or maybe in some other mart, why will you move across and go to some small shops to purchase different things? You won't prefer to. You're getting everything at a place and you will feel more comfortable to purchase everything from one place. Quite the same thing even AWS does. So if I have to compare on every grounds, yes, AWS will be the best cloud platform wherein you can move all your resources from on-premise. Hope I answered your question. Okay, fair enough. So I think we are done with today's session. If anyone has any question, feel free to ask, or what you can do is you can just keep practicing. Come tomorrow with your doubts, with your questions. These recordings will be there with you. Anytime you can just go over the recording and practice things on your own. But yes, before tomorrow's session, come with the account, create the account so that you can practice more on the account which you are going to create. Right? So thanks everyone for joining today's session. Let's meet again tomorrow, same time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.